Hello everybody, I'm William Parker, author of the Cloudscape Chronicles, and today I just wanted to go through a few questions about my book and give the answers to them basically for everyone to hear. So the first question is, let's jump straight in, is tell us about the first project you worked on when you knew you wanted to be a writer. Well, I remember my first project quite well. It was a series called Planet Avanti. It was a fantasy and comedy mesh that followed a typical protagonist through a hero's journey, rather cliche. I wrote it when I was about 12 years old, and so it wasn't high quality fantasy by any means, nor was it especially original, but I would say at least that it was imaginative. And I think the moment I knew when I wanted to be a writer came after watching Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams, both the newer film and the BBC series. I was just lost in the zaniness of it all, and I thought, well, I knew at that point I had to make something of my own. I had to create worlds. I had to write. So that's the first question. Second question. Talk about the Cloudscape Chronicles and the specific themes that make it unique in the world of speculative fiction. Well, the Cloudscape Chronicles, at its heart, is a novel that follows the absolute worst part of the main character's life, where they are frankly depressed and wondering why they would want to go on living. It's then that the journey of self-discovery and the slow development of a care for the world around them through the uncovering of a plot to end the world. I know that it all may sound quite serious, but the Cloudscape Chronicles doesn't at all take itself seriously. It's very much tongue-in-cheek, while having real themes, and I think its main selling points come from the fact that it isn't set on Earth, so it's an exploration of a world that's far away from ours, but also eerily familiar. And I'm just going to zoom in a little bit so I can see these answers slightly better, because I am reading a little bit off a script, I will admit that. The third question, did you have a favourite character to write about in the book? What made them so compelling? Well, my favourite character in the book is the main character, Alfie Attil, but I think it would be boring to talk about the main character, so I'm going to shift gears a bit and talk about a side character I enjoyed writing. That man is Gregory Merton. Now, Gregory Merton is the definition of a successful and influential man. Without spoiling too much, he's a top politician in the Cloudscape and is clearly a terrible person by every means. He cares only about himself and his power, yet in the course of the story he's brought so incredibly low that he is essentially humbled and has to face the mistakes he's made and help save his daughter from a danger that he indirectly caused. So that's Gregory Merton, one of my favourite characters, and I'm sure you'll like him too. Moving on. Has a character ever surprised you? Maybe you thought they were one way, but they turned out to be completely different. Can you tell us about this experience? Well, I think that the thing that springs to mind is the relationship between Alfie Attil and Bexley Buttersworth. I had no intent to make this a romantic relationship because I feel it's such a faux pas to have the main male character and the main female character fall in love in some way. However, as the writing got deeper, it felt right that they should be connected on some deeper level in order to properly develop the respective characters. So it surprised me, but the relationship between Alfie and Bexley is what springs to mind when it comes to a question like that, and that is something that you'll come across a lot if you ever read the novel. A next question. What do you do when you're just not motivated to write? Well, I'm going through this at the moment. When I'm not writing, I'm usually reading. I think reading is so important to the writing process. It plants ideas in your head, and it helps you brush up on the technical side of writing, i.e. the grammar, the vocab, stuff like that. You can almost feel less guilty that you're not writing when you're reading something, because it almost feels like research. You're essentially looking at what other people are doing within the writing space, so it's time well spent. Next question. Did you write the Cloudscape Chronicles with an audience in mind? I actually think the Cloudscape could be enjoyed by anyone. There are a few different aspects to it that entice different people. It's funny for people that like comedy, it's dramatic for people that like drama, it's morally grey for people that like non-conventional characters. And I didn't try and tailor the story to a specific audience because I believe that negatively impacts what you're writing. Instead, I try to let it flow naturally, although I wouldn't recommend the book for children. Children don't read it. Next question. How do you navigate the dilemma of writing characters of different gender than your own? So female characters, basically. Well, that is a good question, because there are a number of key female characters in the Cloudscape, and I think it comes to be looking at a wide variety of media, looking at where a female character is done right. The film Alien always springs to mind with Ellen Ripley. She shows vulnerability and fear while also showing immense bravery and a sense of survival. I think the mistake some people make is that they make their female characters not very female. They strip away all the female traits because they're afraid of writing a stereotype. But that makes the character just another Mary Sue in my opinion. I tried to show a complex array of emotions, and by doing that, they fit nicely in with the male characters and don't feel out of place. Let's move on to the next question. Do you bring your own personality or people from your personal life into your writing? If so, how? Well, the answer to that one is a no and yes, because I would be lying if I didn't say I aspire to make characters as unique as some of the people I meet in real life. But at the same time, my inspirations are coming from works of pure fiction. So while I may be indirectly basing characters off real people, I never do it directly. I never meet someone and want to self-insert them into a story. There's something that feels wrong about that. But of course, what I experience in real life always broadens my mind, and the broadening of the mind does lead to the broadening of the writing. So it's a yes and no on that one. Next question, and we're going to get short answers, and I'm going to get through these a bit quicker. If you could change the world by doing one thing, what is that something? And would you... Sorry, I read that completely wrong. If you could change the world by doing one thing, what is something you would change right away? Let's get into that. I would get rid of all nuclear weapons for sure. There's no question about this one. It's sad that we have to keep nuclear weapons because everyone else has them. But if no one had them, then that's a positive thing for all of humanity. Sorry to get political, and sorry if you do disagree with me, but I think that just taking away a means to end our existence is a net bonus for us as mankind. So that's the one thing I would change about the world. What's your favourite movie? What's your favourite band? My favourite movie is Cloud Atlas, which is actually a movie that totally bombed at the box office and received bad reviews, but I can't help but enjoy the unique way it tells its story, or stories as I should say in plural. My favourite band, well that's an easy question, Queen is my favourite band. Recommend some of your favourite novels to your community. Well, I encourage everyone to go and read The Chronicles of St. Mary's. It's very British, and I'm British, which definitely helps, but I don't think I've ever read such a story with such great dialogue, comedy, combined together. Even though it's a great read. Chronicles of St. Mary's. What's next for your writing and release-wise? Well, I'm currently working on a fantasy novel, which is in stark contrast with the Cloudscape Chronicles, which is more of a sci-fi, but I shall keep my lips sealed about the details. I think it's a long way off being complete. I'll give it another year before it ever sees the light of day. If you could offer some advice to a new author, what would it be? Well, my advice would be to read and read widely. It always starts with that step, and after that, brainstorm some basic ideas and just start writing. You'll find that one good idea leads to many others, so even if your first work is terrible, you'll get better the more time and effort you invest. So my advice is 2 words, read and write. So there we go, that's a few questions, and if you've got any other questions, please do leave them in the comments and I will answer them. And just to announce, I'm also doing a book giveaway, a physical copy of the book that's signed, and I will be giving that away to whoever interacts with this takeover the most, whoever comments on all my posts and all things like that. I will give the book to that person. I know that many of you live in America and Canada, so it will cost me a bit to ship it, but I'm willing to do it to get that new audience and get that new person reading my book. So there you go, that's my questions and answers, and as I say, leave anything you want to ask in the comments below. Thank you.